Your little butt done pooped everywhere. So I guess the wind that was down in Southern California is here now. It's windy. It's not cold, but it's windy. Mm, it must be windy in the city also because the bay looks a little rough. I would hate to be out there riding the what is it called? The shuttle to San Francisco. Be out there on that water. I would hate that because that water look a little rough. Not super rough because it's the bay. It's only gonna get so rough because it's the bay. This lets out into the ocean, but this water out here is just the bay. Hey y'all. Oh yeah, Sheila, we are 7, depending on traffic, a good 7 hours away from Southern California. I guess, most people don't realize how big California is. California is not as large as Texas, but California is still really large because it's two major parts of California. It's Southern California and then Northern California, the Bay Area. That's where we live. The bottom part of California is Northern California. The upper part is Southern California. So yeah, it's a distance. It's I think it's like 6.5 hours from the Bay Area, but when you factor in traffic, because usually traffic is bad going after you get to a certain point, the traffic is bad. Like when you get to the Grapevine, you have to slow down because you're going into the mountains. Because LA, you have to go through the mountains and then go down into the valley. That's why these fires, you know, I think can get LA because LA is surrounded by mountains and, a lot of greenery and trees. And LA is kind of like in a bowl. The mountains are all around it. Then LA is down in there where the water and, everything, the homes and everything is built kind of in the valley. Like LA is like a valley. And all around them is mountains and vegetation and trees and, land. So when, and the homes, just like here in the Bay Area, the homes are so close together. Like, I'm gonna show you how close the homes are. That's our neighbor right there. Let's see. That's us. That's the neighbor. The homes are super close together. That's just how they are here in California. Like the houses are damn near on top of each other. Super close. Yeah, California is big. Oh, girl. I'm glad somebody like it because I hate it. Hated it. 0 out of 10. Would not recommend. I hate it. And I will be so glad when it grow back. I really thought I was gonna like myself with short hair, but I don't. And it was, it's just a learning lesson. I had to get it out my system because I cut my hair once before, really short, and I liked it, but I wasn't gray then. I didn't have a whole lot of gray hair like I have now, and I had like dyed it blonde, and it actually went blonde because I didn't have all this gray hair. Now ain't no telling what color. If I go to the shop and let them do it, and I don't really want to do that. But yeah, I'm letting it grow back out. I'm not getting it cut no more. The only thing I'm gonna do now is just get a line up because my hair grows all, down on my neck, and that just don't look cute. So I'm gonna let my husband line me up in the back, but I'm letting it grow back out, and I know it's only going to look worse because that middle of the road growing out phase is ugly. But yeah, I'm letting it grow back out. I'm not letting him. I'm not gonna let my husband cut it no more. I'm just gonna let it grow out. However grow out, it grow out. I've been wearing my wigs again. It's cold, so um, I done pulled my wigs out of retirement. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry that your family was affected by the fires. Luckily, thank God, my husband's family is not affected by the fire. I think they in Inglewood, either in Inglewood or Compton, and they're not affected. And then I have a friend who lives in Redondo Beach. Him and his family, they haven't been affected either. So I don't know. I will be so glad when this is over because I feel so bad for them. It's like I feel like Northern California and Southern California are fraternal twins. They're not identical, but they twins. This is like a twin state. They're fraternal twins because the I feel like the people in Southern California and Northern California, like we're different. The climate there is different than it is here in the Bay Area. Southern California, I think, gets a lot warmer than we get here in Northern California. And I think the area of Northern California that we live in, because we're so close to the bay, we get more wind, we get more breeze. Southern California, I think, is drier. They get more heat than we do. It's a difference. The climate is different. The the people are different. I think here in the Bay Area we're a lot more laid back, and you have more hippie types here in the Bay Area, I think, than you have in Southern California. Southern California, even though they have their ghettos and stuff just like we do here, I think people are a lot more bougie in certain areas. I don't think you get a lot of that out here. You know, I think it's a huge difference. But one thing about Southern California, the area where my husband's family is from, reminds me a lot of the Bay Area because they have a really big Hispanic population in Los Angeles, a huge Hispanic population. We have a large Hispanic population here in the Bay Area also. So when I went to LA, I was like, oh, this is just like home. So there are areas. That's why I say Southern California and Northern California are twins, because there are areas that reminds me of the Bay Area. And because they have a lot of water in LA, like we have here in the Bay Area, because California is surrounded by water. Period. So it does remind me of home. You know, when you leave Northern California and go to Southern California, you still feel at home. It's slightly different, but a lot of the things that they have in LA, we have here also. A lot of the stores and stuff that they have in LA, we have here. We don't have like a Rodeo Drive and stuff like that in Northern California. But we have expensive stores, you know, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Neiman Marcus, Prada, everything that they have in LA, we have here. You know, it may be in San Francisco or some other city, but we have it mostly. You know what we don't have though that they have in LA is Aldi's. We don't have Aldi's out here. So I don't. You know, every area has stores that's different. Yeah, we going back. We going back. Probably for my birthday. I love LA. I fell in love with LA. I enjoy it because it reminds me so much of home. Like it feels familiar. Like my family didn't settle in Los Angeles. When they moved to California, they moved to the Bay Area. My family has always been here in the Bay Area. I'm first generation born and raised here in California of my family. First generation born and raised here. Everybody else were, you know, they were born and raised in down south in Louisiana or Texas or somewhere, and they migrated to California for work. That's why I get so mad when people say stuff like, everybody in LA is rich, they can afford to buy new homes and stuff. No. Someone the black people in LA are just regular black people. Some of the Hispanics are just regular people, regular working people. Everybody in LA ain't rich. That's why you notice that the Palisades, where all of the rich people was living, was where the rich people was living. The rich people live in different places than just your average person in LA. Your average person can't afford to live in the Palisades or Pacific Coast Highway. Them homes is millions of dollars. Now, the other place that was destroyed, Altadena, that's where your regular, common, normal people live. And all of those people have lost their homes. And I was listening to this lady that does insurance, and she said that there is a clause in most insurances that if a national disaster happens, your insurance policy can be voided out because insurances cannot afford to pay off that much if everybody's home is destroyed. The insurance company would go bankrupt. They don't have that kind of money. And they put a clause in the insurance that if something happens, the insurance is voided. So you lose out. And that's what's going to happen to a lot of these people. Yes, the rich people will be able to rebuild. All they got to do is do another movie or something. They done made a couple of $1 million. Then they can buy them another house. But what about The poor people. What about the people that's 50 and retired that was, living in their house. They already retired. They don't have a job. They're on a fixed income. These are the people that I'm concerned about. 60, 70 years old. Living their golden years. They didn't work their whole life living in a house. I'm gonna have to go in the house and get my glasses because I can't see what y'all saying. It's time to go back in anyway. Come on, Gizmo. Gizmo. Come on, buddy. I'm gonna have to come back out here and get this poop. Let me tell your daddy you done pooped out here. He in there?
Nope. I'm right here.
Go get his poop. I didn't have no shoes.
Come here, Daddy. Go get his food.
Poop.
Oh.
You heard what I said. You just ain't listening.
What you say?
There go your girl. There go. There go killer. What I mean self. I gotta turn this light on. What a remote. Where my glasses, Gizmo? Move. Move, Poochie. Hold on, y'all. I done lost my glasses. What am I prop? What am I prop y'all up with? Oh, you need some toilet tissue?
Um, I'll get you some.
Good. Y'all stay here.
Try to strike a chord and it's probably a minor. I don't know what that means, but I can't wait for that.
Huh? I was like, where's glasses? Oh, what I do with the remote? Oh, I'm so unprepared. Y'all scoot back. Damn. All in my face.
I already have my vitamins.
Who passing out vitamins?
Huh?
Who passing out vitamins?
Every time the sun is out, mom's like, "Who is vitamin D out there?"
Uh, it's Dookie out there too.
Did you do get there?
I didn't, but Gizmo did like 3, 4 times.
Dang. Sir poops a lot. Get
Looked
after.
like he had them poop yesterday.
Huh?
I think he pooped yesterday and you didn't get that.
No.
Yeah, you lose everything, your pictures, your clothes, your mementos, like stuff that your kids probably gave you, or, pictures of your grandkids, and you lose all of that. That's the stuff that can't be replaced. Your clothes and stuff can be replaced, but mementos, pictures. I know we have a lot of our pictures off of the phone, off of all of our phones and stuff on hard drives, on external hard drives. So if something happens, at least we can just snatch up that external hard drive and, you know, not worry about pictures. But I'm a knick-knack person. I love little knickknacks and little random stuff that I've purchased when we went on trips, and I'm that girly. I love that kind of stuff. And that would like really hurt me to like lose all of those things. That would bother me. Yeah, heirlooms and stuff. I mean, if something happened, I would just get Gizmo and his harness because this Gizmo is wild. I would have. He looked at me like, "What? No, I'm not." I would have to make sure if an emergency happened to grab him and grab his harness because he's uncontrollable. Like this dog would probably, I don't know, he would get excited and probably run off or something. I would really have to control him. Who knows what, you know, grab my purse. Hopefully if we had time, get an external hard drive. But like me and my mother-in-law, we were talking about that. Like, what if it's an earthquake and you can't grab anything? You know what I mean? So I don't know. They always say to make an emergency kit in case of an earthquake, to have water and flashlights and, maybe some food or something in there. But if you think about how an earthquake is, things fall. You have your emergency kit maybe stashed in your garage or somewhere in your house. What if you can't even get to it because your garage collapsed? What if you can't get to it? And you done did all of that. You done put all of this stuff together and you can't get to it. I really believe in a state of emergency. You don't worry about things until after. I think your body goes into fight or flight mode and you're just trying to figure out how to get out of that situation. I really don't think in an emergency you're thinking about the pictures of your grandmother or, you know, your dad's ashes. I really don't. I think your body goes into survival mode and you're hoping that when everything is over, some things are left. You're just trying to survive and get out of that situation. Because, you see a lot of people who have gotten away from these fires. Well, some people, they couldn't get back. They may have been away from their house and they couldn't get back in time to get anything. Because I saw a young lady that said the police wouldn't, they weren't home when the evacuation started. And when they got there, the police wouldn't let them into the area where their house was. It had already burnt down anyway. And her dog, I think she had two dogs and a cat that didn't make it. But that happened. That has happened to a lot of people. And I think about people who had animals, like bigger animals, like horses and cows and stuff, because believe it or not, there are people in LA who have farms and who have horses and larger animals, and like, where did they go? What happened to them? chickens and roosters. Because I'm telling you, a lot of in I'm this is not me being racist, but a lot of Hispanic people believe in keeping roosters and chickens in the city. Where we used to live in Oakland was, I don't know why this house, everybody that rented that house or purchased, I don't know if they were buying the house or renting the house, but almost everybody that lived there was Hispanic, and all of them had chickens and roosters. The backyard was big. They always had chickens and roosters. And a lot of people in the city believe in having chickens and roosters and rat, all kind of like smaller animals. But if you have a property that's big enough to have like horses and, bigger animals, they would have them. And I'm like wondering like what happened to the area where people had those animals and couldn't get them out. Oh, your family has chickens. My grandson's mother loves chickens. I don't know what kind of chickens these are, but they some kind of fancy, I think they call fancy chickens or something. But they fluffy. They real cute. They real fluffy and fancy looking. I forgot what they're called. But she had some of those. But she loves animals. Like I think she still got the tortoise. She had a tortoise. She had a lizard, for an iguana, for almost 30 years. And I think her tortoise is about the same age. I know she didn't had it for a long. She had it, I think she said, since she was like 5 years old. And she in her 30s. She almost 40. But she loved animals. Last year, they had 4 or 5 rabbits or more. Because they had built a hutch in the backyard for the rabbits to live in. And then they would let them out and let them play in the backyard and then herd them back to the hutch at night. And I think most of them, I think they all died now because she just lost one not too long ago. And I'm not a rabbit fan. I don't like rabbits like that. I've never liked rabbits. Rabbits is not my spirit animal. A rabbit must have did something to me in a past life because I just don't like them. And I must have fell off a horse or something in the past life because me and horses don't get along either. And I think when you have issues with certain animals, you and that animal had an issue in a past life. Something, either you fell off a horse or something in a past life. So I don't mess with horses. Yeah, I never did rabbits. And we had a rabbit when I was in elementary school as like a class pet. And I was one of the few kids that didn't want to have nothing to do with that rabbit. Now, I love birds. I love birds. I like reptiles. Like, I'm not scared of snakes because my boys have had snakes, lizards, frogs, you name it, they didn't had it, but they ain't never had no rabbit. We've had gerbils, guinea pigs, hamsters. I never have another guinea pig. They stink and they're very aggressive. And I only they say you should have more than one because they're social animals. And I had such a problem with one that I didn't want to get another one. And my guinea pig never liked me. And he lived about maybe 3 years. I don't think they live too much longer than that. Um, I don't think rodents have a small lifespan. They don't like live long. I never wanted chickens. Just don't seem fun. Like, what are you gonna do with them as a pet? I never wanted a chicken. I wanted a turtle, a tortoise, but they outlive you, I think. And you gotta build a hutch for it. You gotta build a house for it outside and all that kind of. No, I ain't doing all that. I ain't doing that. So I am definitely, when something happens in the state that you live in, you I think you have more compassion because I have seen people in North Carolina, they mad at us, child. They hate us. They hate us. I mean, hate. I have noticed how many people hate California. Like they be on a California this coffee. They be on a California hate train. Don't hate us because we beautiful and our weather is dynamic and y'all out there with tornadoes and hurricanes and sleet and snow and stuff. That's not our life. It's 60 degrees today. We out here living our best life. That's why I constantly have a glow because the sun is always shining on us. Don't get mad at us because God chose us. He was like, I'm going to always shine on California. And he look at the rest of y'all and be like, sleet on them, snow on their ass. We his kids. He want us to be comfortable. He don't care if y'all freeze to death. I'm just playing with you. He care. But they mad because I guess the government didn't give them enough money to rebuild. They're supposedly living in tents. And I guess the weather is bad out there now. And they're talking about people are freezing to death. But the government about to do these people in LA the same way. The only thing is the temperatures are not going to be freezing in LA. If these people are living in tent cities or whatever, they won't freeze. It's gonna get cold, but they're not gonna freeze to death in LA. I'm pretty sure the government is going to do the same thing to these people who have lost everything in LA that they are doing to those people who have lost everything in North Carolina. It is not gonna be any different. When national disasters happen, people suffer. And I don't think California is going to get any more resources than the people in North Carolina are receiving. The only thing different is the weather. They're not gonna have to worry about getting snowed on. But they ain't gonna get no more money. Oh, I don't know. But I don't understand why they hating on us. Like on a lot of the videos that I've watched on TikTok, people be in there talking about, oh, I don't care about what's going on in California. They did North Carolina dirty. We ain't did nothing to y'all. We ain't did nothing to y'all. It is a lot of California hate though. I see a lot of California hate. And I'm like, we ain't did nothing to none of y'all. We just out here living our life. A lot of people are just jealous. Just jealous because it's California. And I don't understand it. Like they hate Governor Newsom. Oh, they hate him. You would swear, you would swear our governor done had sex with some of these men's wives the way they be talking about him. Like he just coming out here snatching all the women because they hate him. They hate him. And I'm just glad that Governor Newsom he don't give a damn about what people be saying about him. Honey, he take that little pomade. Newsom hair be together. Okay? Not I have never seen him on an interview on TV and he had one hair out of place. Whoever is getting that hair together, give them an award because they take that pomade and they slick that hair down. That hair be laid. And Newsom be out here. I can tell he got that Shango spirit. He has that Shango spirit that I don't care what these people are saying about me. I don't care. So they hate Governor Newsom. They hate California. They hate the people of California. They hate the people of California. They hate their situation. And I think that's what it is. A lot of people in North Carolina are poor, you know, and it's working class poor. It's a lot of working class poor. And then it's a lot of just poor. And when you look at, see, the TV, the media, and movies will have you thinking that everybody in California is walking down Rodeo Drive every day. We all drive Teslas. We all live in billion-dollar homes. Everybody has a waterfront view. This is how movies and stuff have you thinking of California. But no, we live in normal neighborhoods. There are hoods in California. It's good and bad everywhere. Yeah, we have a large homeless population, but I think a lot of people do that on purpose. They know that the climate here in California is conducive for homelessness. A lot of people come to California to be homeless because they know they can pitch a tent and stay outside year round. It ain't gonna be a whole lot of rain. It don't, we have like a little kind of rainy season, but it don't rain here like it does in other places. It will not rain for 3 or 4 days straight, just rain, rain, rain. No, it don't do that here. If it rain a day, it may rain for maybe 2 hours or something, but it's not going to pour down raining all day. We don't have that type of climate. It rarely thunders and lightning out here. So this is a California is if you gonna be homeless, you will want to be homeless here. You who wants to be homeless in Colorado where it's snowing and freezing? No, I'm gonna go to California and be homeless, and I don't have to worry about the rain and snow and sleet and all of that. I don't have to worry about no bad weather because the temperatures here in California, even if it does get cold at night, it does get cold at night now. It will get cold at night. But it's the type of cold where if you have a good sleeping bag and some warm clothes, you'll be all right. You'll be okay. You'll make it. In the wintertime, we don't hear of people dying from exposure. Homeless people dying from exposure. You don't get that here in California, and especially not here in the Bay Area. Now they do have shelters and stuff that will open up if they say we're having like a category 4 or 5 storm. They never end up being category 4 or 5 storms here in the Bay Area, not the area that we live in. They be like category 2, not big storms to where the power goes out and all that kind of stuff. We don't normally have that here. We don't have those type storms here. So I think that's one of the reasons why the homeless population is so large here in the Bay Area because it's easy for people to live outside. Open that window, by.
You want to just crack the.
No, you can open it a little wider. If it get cold, I'll close it. I think most people are jealous. I think that's where a lot of and I'm not saying you, but I think that a lot of people are. You taking him?
Not yet.
Wait, Gizmo. I think a lot of their anger stems from jealousy. And a lot of that is just from, what they see in movies and, of course, what the media shows people. But, of course, they're not showing just the regular people that live in California. You see the elaborate lifestyles of um, celebrities, and a lot of people follow celebrities. You're following people like Kim Kardashian and celebrities that you like from movies and stuff. You're seeing the lifestyle that they live. Kim Kardashian lives in Calabasas. Her and her family, they live in Calabasas. They live in, a really upscale area of Los Angeles. Is they live in Los Angeles? Yeah, a upscale, um, gated community in Los Angeles. But yo, average Joe don't live there. Your average people live in like Altadena. Compton, Inglewood, um, what Baldwin Hills. I don't know all of the cities in LA, but that's just like the Bay Area. San Francisco is totally different than Oakland. And I'm not saying only rich people live in San Francisco, because there are parts of Oakland, the Oakland Hills, where rich people live up there. There are areas in the Bay Area that are more affluent than Oakland. We have areas where the Warriors, the basketball players, they have lived in like Orinda, in places like that. We have like Orinda, Brentwood, Walnut Creek. These are places with a little bit more expensive homes. But where we live, the homes are expensive. This is where we live is one of the um, affluent areas in Contra Costa County. So we live in one of the bougie areas. So it just depends on where you live. Oh yeah. Like I couldn't even imagine living somewhere where it gets colder than it gets here. I've been here all my life, so my body is acclimated to the temperature here in California. Now, when we went to LA, we went in August, and when we went, the temperature was comparable to the Bay Area. It was about the same. Now, we went through Bakersfield and all of those, like you got to go through those areas to get to LA. Now, those temps were higher because it's not near the water. When we got into LA, the temperatures got a little lower. But the temperature, it felt like the Bay Area. It didn't look like the Bay Area because LA has this layer of smog over it. LA is not as clear as the Bay Area. The Bay Area looks cleaner. The air, the sky looks bluer than LA. LA has a layer of fog, that smog. It ain't fog, it's smog that kind of hovers over it, and the sky just don't seem as blue in LA as it seems here in the Bay Area. And I think it's because we're surrounded by the bay. The wind is the breeze is always like circulating, and it cleans the air more. I don't know. It just looked better. The sky looks bluer out here than it did out there to me. But temperature wise, it seemed the same or very close. Very close. It felt like I was still at home, because I kept telling my husband, this looked like Oakland. This don't even look like we left the Bay Area. He was like, yeah, you still in California. And it looks like it. It doesn't look, it's so familiar. For it to be 7 hours away is so familiar. It's damn near the same. And I'm pretty sure, like, if we go to another state, it's going to look different. Like when we went to Nevada, Nevada looked different and it felt different. Well, for one thing, it was snowing. It snows in Nevada. So it was, it was snow on the ground. It was cold. It was gray. Even during the day, it was gray. It was like the sun was like, I'm not here. I'm on vacation. The sun was like, I'm in California. Go home if you want to see me. It was gray. It was just, it felt different. But it didn't feel different for me in LA. It just felt like, it felt like, oh, I went to my cousin's house. And you know how you go to your cousin's house, your auntie or uncle or somebody is there, that's family. You feel like you with family, even though it's not your house, it's your cousin's house. Your cousin's mama is your auntie or uncle or something. So you basically at home, you with family. That's how I was. That's how I felt when I went to LA. I was at my cousin's house. It just felt really familiar. And I just hate that this has happened. Now the area that these fires took place in, the only area that we did go to was Hollywood. And I'm not really sure as of today how much damage was done in that Hollywood area, but when I went to bed last night, the people in Hollywood was being evacuated because the fire was coming over the mountain. Now, Hollywood is my favorite place to visit when I go to LA. I think it's called the Chinese Theater. Across the street is Jimmy Kimmel's studio where his show is filmed. What else is there? Where they do the Oscars, all of the handprints of these movie stars that have passed away, like Charlie Chaplin, Lucille Ball, all of them, all of those handprints and feet prints are at the Chinese theater. If that catches on fire, all of that history will be gone. Cary Grant, it's like old Hollywood. A lot of their handprints and feet prints are at the Chinese, in that little square of the Chinese theater. Old Hollywood. And all those that will be destroyed. And then it's the Walk of Fame is, all the stars, all where all of the other um celebrities have their name and a star in the ground. Like everywhere you walk on Hollywood, you're walking on somebody's star. Somebody's star is there. Who whatever celebrity wants, because you got to pay to have them maintained. You got to pay for that star. But the Walk of Fame is all of those stars with, their name engraved in it and stuff on the ground. all around that downtown Hollywood area. So if that area catches on fire, all of those will be destroyed. All of that Chinese theater is where the movie premieres, the big blockbuster premieres happen, and the Oscars and other stuff happen there. And if that's destroyed, it'll that and that's the part of LA that I love. Every time we go to LA, I be like, I want to go to Hollywood because that was always like that's one of them checked off my bucket list things was to go to Hollywood and go to the place where they did the Oscars. I always wanted to go there. From a little kid, I didn't realize how close LA was growing up, but I've always wanted to go there. I always wanted to go to the Walk of Fame. I always wanted to see that. And when my husband took me, I was like, I get to check that off my bucket list. And for it to, you know, maybe be destroyed, I'm like, gosh, that's crazy. But I did get a chance to see it you know, in my lifetime. And I've seen it a few times. A lot of people say that they can't afford California. If you can afford other places, you can afford California because every place is expensive now. You may not be able to live the way you're living in California, you know, because if you have a two-bedroom for $1,200, you may have to downsize to a studio to a studio. But you could live here. You just gotta know where. You may not be able to live in the Bay Area. Where you gonna go?
Watch the game
Why you got that on?
because it's cold out here.
Is it?
I don't know.
I don't think it's that cold, babe.
Oh, okay.
Did you go out there and get that dookie?
I'm going.
Because hey,
I'm going now.
cause Felicia be going out
I'm
there.
going now.
Um, what was I saying? He didn't piss me off. Um, you may not be able to live in the Bay Area, but you can live in California though. You know, you may have to live in like Sacramento or someplace that is a little. Hey, hey, who is it? Who is it, buddy? Yes, no, that's enough because ain't nobody out there. You may have to live a little farther out. Um, but it's nothing wrong with that because that's where we were looking for a house. We were looking for a house in Sacramento because it's expensive around here. But right now we're gonna stay here because it's close to my husband's job. It's more convenient. And I never wanted my husband to have an hour commute to work. You got to drive an hour to get to work. And then when you get to work, you're gonna be driving. Now he doesn't drive as much, but he was. And then after you did a 8.5 hour shift, you got to drive an hour to get home? No, mm-mm, that's too much. Because where we live now, he's 10 minutes. He has a 10-minute commute. 10 minutes, which is, he loves it. Because when we lived in Oakland, it was about 20 to 30 minutes, you know, because the traffic was bad. But now he don't fight no traffic to work. He could take the streets to work if he want to. Sometimes I think he said he hops on the freeway and it's only like two exits or something. But if he wants to, he could just take the streets. And he said he usually takes the streets at night because there don't be no cars, nobody on the street. But if you really wanted to um, live in California, you could. You would just have to, do some good research and maybe not live in the Bay Area, but um, there are other places in California that are as pretty to me as the Bay Area. The only thing we have is water. Now, when you move inland, you get away from the water, but you still get that I'm still in Cali. You still gonna get that California vibe. The Bay Area has such a diverse vibe. Like San Francisco has has its really sophisticated vibe. I can see how San Francisco was back in the day, how hobnobbing white people were, because you can kind of feel that classy vibe in San Francisco. And then the hippie vibe, because during the 60s, a lot of the hippies lived in San Francisco and this side of the bay. So this area still has that kind of hippie, eclectic, artsy, you know, type of vibe. And then we have the cultural Hispanic. California has a very um, native Hispanic, because a lot of the streets and stuff are Hispanic words. Like the area that we live in is San Pablo. I think that's one of the founders of this area of California. You know, a lot of Hispanic street names and cities and stuff. It's a lot in San Francisco also. So the culture here, if you really get into the culture, and that's what I said that I was going to, start doing more research, because believe it or not, they teach you in school the basic stuff like the state bird, the state animal, the state flower, history about the governor, the government, all those type of things in California, but not the real culture. of how, his the natives lived here first. They didn't teach us that because growing up in elementary school, I think they wanted us to believe that white people have always owned California. I didn't even know California had that rich Hispanic culture. I thought all these Hispanic people came here from Mexico, just wanting a good life. No, they were here first. And then they went back to Mexico because the white people wanted to take over. And so I said that I was going to start doing more research about California so I can really understand, where I live and what our real culture is, to have more of appreciation for the state that I live in. I love California. You know, I was born and raised here. Now, of course, I appreciate where my ancestors came from, and I do have, I feel like I have a connection to Louisiana also because, that's where my mom is from. And I feel like you're always going to have a connection to the roots of your parents. Those places will always be important to you because you share the DNA of your parents. So where they're from is part of you also. Even though I was born and raised here in California, I'm a Cali girl to my soul. I'm still a Louisiana girl because both of my parents were from Louisiana. I still have a connection to the South. And a lot of people who are here in California, their parents were born in the South. Most of these older people were not born here in California. Now, my generation, the 50 and 60-year olds, we were born here. But the 70-year olds and 80-year olds and 90-year olds, black here in California, most of them were not born here. They were born in Louisiana and migrated here in the 40s and 50s for work. Because my husband's parents were not born here. They were born in Louisiana and they came out to California in their very early 20s for work. But I was born here in the 60s. I think my parents came here in the 50s and I was born in the 60s. So, yeah, I have a huge um, connection to California, and I don't think I would, want to live anywhere else. Did you see the show Them? Girl, when I think about them, I think about them big ass ants. But this a movie from the 50s. It's a science fiction movie and it's called Them. And it was about these big ass ants, humongous ants that were like terrorizing this city. But no, what is it about? Yeah, there was this mass exodus from the South during the 40s and 50s, the 40s, 50s, and 60s. There was a mass exodus from the South to California because people were getting jobs out here. The car companies were um, making cars. I think General Motors had opened a plant here in California. General Motors and what is the other car company? It was another car company. They opened plants here in California and Naval Air Station. They were open, the Oakland Army base, and a lot of black people were getting them government jobs, working Del Monte. Like it was a lot of factory and car companies. My father worked on the Southern Pacific Railroad. It was so many jobs for black people here in California that they just came out here in droves. They were leaving Louisiana and Texas. They were leaving down south. And with the thought that they would come out here and make money and then go back home. But unfortunately, my father had cancer and he passed away. And my mother did not want me to grow up in Louisiana. She was like, we left Louisiana, you know, so that if we had any children, they would have a better life. So even though I lost my husband, I'm not going to take my child back to Louisiana. So she ended up staying. And my mother always said, when you get grown, I'm going back to Louisiana to stay with my sister. And I was like, why? And she never did. Because after I got grown and, got married and had kids, she didn't want to leave her grandkids. So my mother never made it back to Louisiana. My father passed away when I was 5. So mama lived a long time without him. And she never um, went back. I think I saw that. I think I saw it. I think I saw that. And she was having problems with the white people. They were the only black family. Um, they were the only black family on that block, right? They had bought a house and they had like a little girl, and they were the only black family there. And the white people was doing too much. Yeah, it was a lot of shipyards open, and they were longshoremen. I mean, it was jobs. And these were good paying jobs because my mom and dad was getting ready to buy a house. And my dad got sick. Like, mama said he had bought him a car, bought her a new car. And my mama and daddy was clean. Do you hear me? My mama was clean. My daddy was one of them, hat wearing black men. Every time you see him, he had a suit on. Mama was always in a dress, just looking good. My mother was one of those ladies that wore the gloves to church. The gloves and the dress matched and the hat, and the shoes and, all of that. She was clean. I wish we would go back to that style when women just, when they stepped out, they just looked good. You could tell that they put thought into what they were wearing. And I'm not saying that, people don't put thought into what they wear now, but folks just go outside, men and women just go outside now, and it don't matter. I love that 50s, 40s, and 50s style for women. And I know it was probably a lot having to get up every morning and put on stockings and put on a suit and a dress and high heels and matching purses and fur stoles and everything. But if that's all you got in your closet, then you're used to it. Like, women weren't wearing pants. Women were wearing dresses everywhere. Yes, the A line will always be classic. Them little fur stoles and oh, I love me a fur stole. I love it. I love, and you don't see it often, but if I run across a woman that's got a classic like 60s or 50s look, love it. That's going to eat down every time. Every time. I love that classic look. The pin curls, the hair. I love that. Now I love the braid. I love braids and I love a good bust down middle part, 20-inch bust down with a middle part. I love it. But I love that classic old fashioned look because I think it's just so classy. Now, if it get loud, that's them. They out there watching the playoff games. They, my husband, my sister-in-law, and my father-in-law. My mother-in-law probably gonna come down there too because she likes sports. I'm the only one in the house. No, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. My niece, she don't watch it either. But everybody else loves sports, love football. My husband's not a basketball lover, but he loves football. So they out there watching the game if it get loud. I do too, girl. I love A line, the with the little jacket, with a little jacket, a nice little blouse with a little, tie, ribbon tie on the blouse. I love that. With a nice little fitted blazer on a woman, that is so classy to me. With some stockings and a kind of thicker heel. Oh, I love that. A lot of people love the 40s and 50s. I love the 60s and 70s because it's so easy and free flowing. I'm an easy throw on a pair of jeans person, no classy stuff. More grats. I love the 60s too. I love the 60s too. The 40s and 50s is just more classy. Like you say, the 60s is more relaxed. I'm a 60s girl. I love a tie-dye t-shirt. I went through a whole tie dye phase. I still have a lot of tie dye t shirts um, in my closet. I'm more of a comfortable girly, a nice t shirt, um, some pants. I'm a comfortable girly. But I do like to, go out to dinner sometimes, and I like to, get dressed up, put on something cute. I'm gonna throw on a wig, so I can be out. Yes, you know, being all cutesy. I love that too. I think I would have liked living in the 40s and 50s. I think I would have enjoyed that because I do like getting dressed up sometimes. I like that. What is pussy balls? Is that the balls on the shirt? My older sisters are so 40s and 50s. My older sisters are. Yeah, my mom, she was just real classy, and I think that's because she went through the 40s and 50s, that whole style and look. She went through all of that. That was her style. So she was cuz my mama didn't start wearing pants for a long time. She wouldn't wear pants outside of the home. All them gigantic balls. She didn't wear pants for a long time. She wore dresses all the time. That was just, and I think some of that was her religious philosophy to not wear things pertaining to a man. So she did wear a lot of dresses. Have anybody tried these? I'm about to get on my Halloween, Valentine's candy. These are chocolate covered peeps. So I guess it's just chocolate and a marshmallow. I'm about to start getting my Valentine's stuff together because I want to make baskets for my three youngest grandkids. So I want to start. I got to get two things two like containers that are masculine. So I'm going to look for something that's like maybe a football helmet or something. Something, boyish that's not like a basket for the boys. And then for my granddaughter, I'm gonna get her like a basket and put a bunch of girly stuff and candy and stuff in there for her because I want to be um and I'm not saying that I'm not a hands-on grandmother, but I want to do more stuff for like the holidays. When it's Valentine's Day or St. Patrick's Day or something, I want to, give the kids something. If it's only like a couple of items, I want to give them some stuff from their granny. Because I don't want it to be like, oh, granny loves you. just on your birthday or Christmas. No, I'm thinking about you all year long. It ain't just your birthday and Christmas. So I just want to um do a little more. I just feel like I haven't really been doing anything because I don't belong to any of the groups that I used to belong to. Like I used to belong to groups, the pen pal groups, and I was always writing letters to somebody or sending somebody something, and I'm not in them groups anymore, and I just feel kind of bored, like I need to do something. And I'm like, I got grandkids. I want to start like sending them cards and um because they don't live in the same city that I live in. My grandsons are farther away than my granddaughter. Um, so it's the post office is basically around the corner. It's nothing for me to, send them a postcard. Granny loves you, and hopefully they will hold on to these things and be like, oh, I remember when I was young, my grandma used to send me a postcard just to tell me that she loved me. I'm hoping that they will. I don't have anything like that from my grandmother. My relationship with my grandmother was very estranged. It was weird because I was adopted. My mother put me up for adoption. My grandmother did not stop her. They were living in the same house. My grandmother didn't say, don't do it. I'll help you. My grandmother sat back and allowed my mother to give me to my aunt to adopt me. After that happened, my grandmother stopped messing. My grandmother acted like I didn't exist. And for a while, I lived on the same block that she lived on. So it was just weird that my grandmother was just like, I don't know, girl. Just good luck. So I have absolutely nothing from my grandmother, nothing. 'Cause she passed away a couple of years ago. I don't have nothing to remember her by or anything, just the pictures that my family have posted of her on social media. Like, I ain't know the woman. And I don't want my grandkids to feel like that about me. You know, I'm constantly calling them, texting. Like me and my granddaughter used to live with me for like 2 years. So we have a close relationship. I was there when she was born, in the room when she was born. My grandson, I couldn't hold him until he came home from the hospital because he had some complications and was in the NICU. And the hospital that he was in only allowed the mama and daddy in the NICU. Nobody else could. And they were very strict. So I wasn't there when he was born because she went into labor and she had some complications. I think she had a C-section and stuff. So I wasn't there when he was born. And he lives a little farther away. And then her and my son had some issues. So there's been just a little distance between me and my grandsons. So I do want to, you know, do a little bit more because I see Amani more often because her dad, me and my son, we don't live too far from each other, and usually when Amani comes to visit, he has her on the weekends. He'll, bring her by and do something together. So I do want to just do a little bit more because I want my grandkids to be like, oh, my granny was cool. If something ever happens to me, and it is one day, I ain't gonna be here forever. I want them to at least be able to say, my granny was cool. You know, she would send us stuff for just because she wanted to. She loved us. That's all I want because it makes me feel good when me and my son was talking a couple of days ago, and we were talking about restaurants and stuff, and my son was like, yeah, because when we grew up, we used to hit all the restaurants. Mama always took us out. you know, he said, I loved hometown buffet because we go to breakfast at hometown buffet, we go to dinner at hometown buffet. We went to all the restaurants. We was at the Sizzler, and I did. I took my kids out. We was always up in somebody's restaurant. And one reason why I did that is because when I was a little kid, my mama didn't believe in going to restaurants. Going to restaurants was a treat. It wasn't just a random Wednesday we going to Denny's. No, we didn't do that. It was truly a treat because my mama cooked. And I always said, if I ever have kids, I'm taking my kids everywhere. Every restaurant it is. Denny's, IHOP, steakhouse, hometown buffet. I'm taking my kids everywhere. And I did. From the time they little butts could walk and sit up at a table by themselves, we was up in somebody's restaurant. Always. And it makes me feel good to, hear my kids say that they had a good childhood. They enjoyed their childhood. The only thing my son is mad at me about is I didn't take them to Disneyland. And I took my granddaughter. He said, that is kind of janky though. You took Amani to Disneyland, but you didn't take me and my brother. We never went to Disneyland. He was like, you didn't even take us to LA. No, I didn't. I was like, at the time, Disneyland wasn't in my budget. I ain't have Disneyland money. That's why I was taking y'all to Great America. We had Great America money. We didn't have Disneyland money. I got married. That gave me a second income. We had Disneyland money. We got McDonald's money. I was never that mama though. When my kids were like, "Oh, can we go to McDonald's?" I never was like, "You got McDonald's money?" I'd be like, "Yeah, let's go to McDonald's." You know, let's go. Or now this was horrible. We lived basically across the street from McDonald's. They put a McDonald's we live real close to the mall. and they put a McDonald's at the mall, which was walking distance. And my kids were about like 10, 11 years old. And all they had to do was walk up to the corner, cross the street, and they could run to McDonald's. I would give them a couple of dollars, and they would get on their bikes, ride over to McDonald's, come on back to the house, because I could go out on the patio and see them get to McDonald's. But this was during a time when you could let your kids walk. This was the 90s. You could let your kids walk to the store, you know what I mean, ride their bike to McDonald's. You didn't, you worried, but you didn't, like, I don't think I would let my kids do that shit now. You we didn't worry as much. Like, now that I think about the places that my kids, how far they rode from like my house on a bike to their daddy house. That was far. I would never let a child do that now. Even though they were like 12, 13 years old, I still, no, you're not finna ride way over there on no bike. I don't know, child. It's a different world though. See, that's what I want. I want, to send my grandkids handwritten letters and postcards and stuff, and I want them to remember that. I don't know why. I think people just got crazy to the point where we just got scared to trust our kids outside. My kids used to ride their bike. Now, sometimes my ex husband would meet them halfway because he had a bike. He would meet them halfway, and then they would ride the rest of the way to his house. And sometimes he wouldn't. He was like, them boys, let them boys ride over here. They're going to be fine. They'll call you as soon as they get here. And my kids had cell phones, so, if anything happened, they could call. And I just started trusting them to go. Like at first, I would get in the car and kind of trail them to make sure they made it. And when they made it, I would just turn around and go back home. And then after a while, I just was like, bye. Y'all 12, 13, 14 years old. Bye. Go sit down, please. Go. Because you're not going out there. Go. You can't go out there. Daddy watching the football game. You got to stay here with me. Okay? You can't go out there. And the kitty cat is out there. I don't know what is wrong with my sister's cat, but this cat is becoming more violent. Um, so we don't touch the cat. She touches us. She will come and rub up against you, do all of that up against your legs and stuff. And but we don't touch her because she has a tendency to scratch or bite. So last night she was sitting in a chair and my husband passed by her and she hit him, snagged his shirt, and hissed at him. And he was like, he didn't touch her. He didn't acknowledge her. I don't know if she got mad because he didn't acknowledge her or what, but she hissed at him and hit at him. And I'm like, what is wrong with this cat? is this cat crazy or what? Like we're keeping Gizmo and the cat away from each other because the cat is violent. And I don't want the cat scratching Gizmo or whatever because he is the type of dog that he don't start no mess, but he will bite. And I don't want him to do that. Oh, I've always been a boring kid too. I think I heard about that. Yeah, you can't let your kids do the shit now. The stuff that I allowed my kids to do back in the day, my ass would be in jail if I let them do that now. They'd have locked me up. And my kids always talk about how much fun they had in the shit that they did when they was young. And I would never want to take riding their bikes to some random dirt field and running up dirt hills and, just out being a boy. I would never want to take that from them. They survived it, so it couldn't have been that bad. They made it. They would come home, out doing backflips on random discarded mattresses. Them kids was living the life. Do you hear me? I remember my son in our apartment complex. I didn't realize they were doing this. So somebody had discarded some mattresses and the kids was jumping off the first floor landing onto these mattresses. So my son, his brother had did it and he survived. He was fine. And my youngest son has always been kind of scary. My oldest son has always been the daredevil. So Scary Boy decides to do it and he didn't land on the mattress. Thank God his body landed on the mattress, but his hand hit the ground. We lived on the third floor. By the time they made it upstairs, that boy's hand had swole up like a damn football. I just knew it was broke. I just knew he had broke his wrist. He was going to be in a cast. It was going to be a big deal. So I put him in the car. We go to the emergency room, and thank God it was just sprained, sprained. That boy never jumped off of nothing else. Never. Because he was in so much pain. It was so swollen. He was in so much pain. He ain't never jumped off another damn thing. I don't know what is wrong with that crazy ass cat. So, my husband got a water gun, and now when the cat messes with him, he shoots the cat. So, it's a war going on in this house with that little crazy cat. And she just as cute as she want to be. Such a cute cat. But the cat is weird as hell. Like she want to be your friend, but it's like as soon as she lure you in, she'll bite the shit out of you. Like she jumped up and I'm sitting there watching TV with my husband, and she jumped up in my lap, and she was like, meow, meow. And I didn't touch her because I know not to try to pet her. And as soon as that heifer jumped up in my lap, she bit the shit out of my arm for no reason. I'm like, girl, are you okay? So now I don't let her jump on me. Girl, I just knew his arm was broken. I just knew it was because it swelled up so fast. But it wasn't broke. Thank God. But when his ass fell off his dirt bike not too long ago, he 30 some odd years old now. He fell and the peg of that dirt bike fell on his ankle, made direct contact with his ankle, the peg of the dirt bike. Like he almost survived that fall. If the dirt bike hadn't had a peg on it, he would have been okay. But the peg of the dirt bike hit his ankle, broke his ankle. So your ass, the bone will break now. Sure did. Well, these kids now, they not like our kids. These kids nowadays are soft. The slightest thing that happened to their ass, they having a heart attack. These kids can't take nothing. I just saw a girl crashing out on TikTok because it's snowing and it was snow on her car and her car wouldn't start and why is stuff always happening to me? Girl, it's winter. That shit's happening to everybody. It ain't just happening to you. These 20 somethings, they take everything personal. It's only happening to me. Why is it happening to me? I'm a good person. Why my car won't start? Girl, the snow done been on your car all night. Your car may not start. That's just part of life. It's been snowing. It's cold as hell. The door handles on your car is frozen. I mean, she was crashing out, legit having a heart attack, screaming, I'm a good person, and crying and stuff like shit don't happen to good people. I'm pretty sure them people whose houses burned down in LA were good people. Shit happens to good people too. You don't get a pass because you're a good person. These kids nowadays are totally different than our kids were. And then we were. We were more solution orientated. These kids, these young 20 somethings and teenagers, they're not solution orientated. These kids, they will crash out and have a heart attack in a minute. And I saw a young lady on TikTok. She was mad. She has lost two children to SIDS, and she has a grief counselor. And I think she said the first baby she lost 3 years ago. And the grief counselor was telling her that, you know, if you don't get any better, we're going to classify it as a mental illness because PTSD and anxiety and depression is classified as a mental illness. She was mad as hell. Do you hear me? She, why? Why is it a mental illness? Why is it? It's grief. Why would grief be considered a mental illness? I was like, oh yeah, girl, you mentally ill. You are definitely mentally ill. Because if that's how you're acting during your therapy sessions, you're mentally ill. You are. because grief is eventually supposed to get better. Yeah, you lose somebody, you grieve the loss, you go through the stages of grief, but eventually you're supposed to kind of, gradually make it up that hill. And if you don't make it, you are mentally ill. You are depressed, you have anxiety. That is classified as mental illness. Girl, I would have been screaming too. I would have been screaming too. But you don't take it personal. You don't, I'm pretty sure you wasn't like, I'm a good person. Why would this happen to me? It just happened. Shit happens. You can't think that. I think too, she didn't understand. She didn't understand what PTSD and anxiety and depression is. And I think that therapy was probably seeing some depression. You lost two children, you probably are depressed. It's more than just grief. Yeah, but she's probably dealing with depression also. And I think it sounds like she has a stigma about mental illness. And a lot of black people have that stigma. Yeah, I mean, I still grieve my mother's death, but I have, it doesn't affect my daily life. I'm still I can still be happy about other situations. It doesn't affect me on a daily basis. And I think when your therapist see that your grief is affecting you on a daily basis, then it starts to move into more of a mental illness. And she probably has an issue as a black person being told that you have a mental illness, because there is, some weird stereotype in the black community about mental illness. We don't want nobody to tell us that we're crazy. Now, them fighting words for somebody to be like, oh, you're mentally ill, that's like, oh, you crazy. And oh, I'm crazy? I'm going to show you crazy. That's black people. Yeah, see, now you recognize you need to do vehicle maintenance. It wasn't nothing personal to you. It was something that could have been prevented if you had, been maintaining the tires. So it wasn't just like, oh, I'm a good person, things don't happen. No, you have to do certain things so that certain things don't happen. Yeah, if you don't get a grip on your grief, it will get a grip on you. It definitely will. And you have to have things to live for. When you lose two children, you have to have something to live for. You either you have another child, you have a spouse, you have activities. You have to have something. Your brain has to have something to concentrate on, because if it doesn't, it's going to concentrate on your grief. I when my mother passed away, I was in a relationship with my husband. We weren't married yet, but I was in that relationship. We stayed busy. We were constantly doing things. I had my hobbies. I to have YouTube? I don't think I was as busy. No, I didn't have YouTube. I had YouTube. I started YouTube after, I think. But I had hobbies and stuff. And I had my kids, you know. Oh, and I had my granddaughter. I think my granddaughter was living with us then. So I had hey Cheryl, thank you, girl. I hate it. Hated it. I tell everybody, I hate it. Hate it. Okay? I hate it. I don't like the texture of my hair. I don't like my hair this short. And my hair was short before, but I was a lot younger. I didn't have all this gray. I just, ugh. So I'm waiting on it to grow back. It's growing. I got it, it's kind of patted down. I haven't picked it out today, but it is growing back. So I know now I will not be cutting my hair no more because I don't like it short. And my husband cut his dreads. His hair is short. And I don't know. To me, it just, I don't like both of us with short hair. I think I was okay when he had his locks and my hair was short. I don't know, child. I'm crazy. I just hate it. Hated it. Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like to lose a child, but I believe I will go to my grave believing that's why my mother was an alcoholic because she lost my sister to SIDS and she didn't go to therapy or anything, and she was just trying to deal with the death of her child. And she just basically drank herself to death because she was in so much pain. And then to top it off, my mother was pregnant with my sister, and my dad was killed while my mother was pregnant with the baby. Then the baby was born, and my mother was so happy. So she had me and my little sister, and my sister died of SIDS. So you lost the love of your life, and you lost his baby. That was too much for her to deal with. That was too much grief. I can't imagine that level of grief. I just can't. And my mother just, she couldn't function after that. She was having a hard time keeping a job. She just, she just couldn't function. She did go on to have other children, but she couldn't take care of them. She just, she couldn't get herself together. It was too much. And there was a time when I was so angry with her. Like, why couldn't you get your life together? But I was young and I didn't understand what grief was. I didn't understand how grief can, be so heavy and hard to deal with. So when I got older and really understood, what it was and what she had been through, I had so much empathy for her because I just can't imagine losing my boyfriend because they weren't married. I can't imagine losing my boyfriend. I'm pregnant with his baby And 3 months after the baby is born, I wake up one morning and she's deceased. I can't imagine that. So yeah, grief is heavy. And if you don't have somebody help you to work through that, and that's a thing too in the black community. Therapy is is a stigma around therapy, and we're talking in the 1960s. So I'm pretty sure back then there weren't a lot of black people going to therapy. We're talking like I was born in 64, so we're talking 65. I think my sister was born in 65. There wasn't a lot of black people going to therapy then. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure she was, going through postpartum, and then it was just too much. She couldn't take it. Yeah, and you imagine you don't have nobody to talk to. Who you gonna talk to? My mother had sisters and brothers, but they didn't know how to talk her through that. Like my mother was the oldest girl of the family. So she gonna talk to one of her younger sisters about that? No. And my grandparents, they didn't seem like the type that you could go to and talk about what was going on. So she had to deal with it by herself. And instead of turning to people, don't you start. Instead of turning to people, oh, my neighbor must be out there taking his Christmas decorations. Is that who it is? The neighbor must be out there taking his Christmas decorations down because Gizmo having a heart attack. Yeah, that's the error that I'm pretty sure that's what was going on with my mama. This happened. Don't talk about it. Just deal with it. Bury it and deal with it. And she buried it in alcohol. She she was drinking all the time. She stayed drunk. That was how she, you know, dealt with what was going on. She would just drink because she didn't get the help that. And my mother was young because she got pregnant with me in high school, her senior year of high school. So if she got pregnant with my sister the next year, she was like either 18, she was either like 19 or 20 when all this shit happened. That's young. That's young. And that's a lot. That's a lot going on for a 20-year-old woman to lose the person that she loved and then lose the child also. And then not have any help to process all of those feelings. Yeah, that's a lot. So I don't blame her for, anything that happened because my aunt loved me. She was a great person. She had a beautiful spirit, just a great woman. So I grew up in a loving, nurturing environment. Sometimes I think if, what it would have been like if I had grew up with my real mother, my biological mother, and she was an alcoholic. It would have been bad. It really would. And I'm just glad that I ain't go through that. You know, I grew up in a safe, healthy, um, nurturing environment. Like I grew up like Leave It to Beaver. My mama, when I would come home from school, it would be fresh baked cookies, a home cooked meal, you know, mashed potatoes, smothered steak, a vegetable, big pot of spaghetti with a salad and garlic bread. Like every day I came home and my mom had cooked something. We had fish every Friday. That was the thing. My mother would go to the butcher or wherever and get fish, and she would fry fish every Friday. I grew up nice. Went to church all the time. I had a good childhood. And I think it would have been totally different if I had grew up in a household with my biological mother, especially seeing the problems that she had. I probably wouldn't have though because her other kids were taken away from her. I don't think anybody she couldn't have her kids. So I wouldn't have grew up there. I would have either been in foster care or something. So I'm just, glad that that didn't happen. And I was raised by my auntie who loved me. Yeah, and I'm glad that things are different now. That the stigma of therapy is kind of being lifted. We have black therapists, so black people are more willing to go to therapy now, especially if they can find a black therapist because they feel like, black people, you can relate more to a black therapist because that black therapist will understand more of you culturally as a person than somebody that is not African American. Plus, a lot of us don't trust um, white people. I'm just being honest. So we don't go. I mean, it's a lot of people now that are not trusting of even white doctors. Y'all heard of that nurse that was breaking the bones of babies in the NICU? I don't know how many babies she did that to, but they had babies in the NICU that were coming up with mysterious like broken bones. They didn't know how the babies were getting these broken bones, but it was a Caucasian nurse, and she was only doing it to black babies, breaking the bones of black babies in the NICU. Now, these are babies that are already sick. They're in the NICU. They already having problems. And she would break one of their bones. Black babies. So, we have a lot of us just don't trust white people in healthcare. We would rather have a African American doctor if it's possible. Oh, did you share it with me? I know I saw it. I saw it on TikTok too. That's the craziest thing I have heard in a long time. Like, I hope, and I normally don't be on that boat about people getting to prison and the prisoners handling the person, because I feel like the justice is them going to prison. But honey, this is one time that I hope when she get to prison, the prisoners welcome her with closed fists. I really hope that they do. And this is one of those situations where, they find out what she did. They should handle her. They should handle her. I can't even imagine hurting a baby. I can't imagine that. But their little bones will break though, because when my granddaughter was born, the doctor thought that he had broke her collarbone delivering her. So their little bones will break. I guess they had to pull her because she went into stress, and her heart rate was dropping, and it was one of them situations where it was too late for them to do a C-section because the baby was there. So they was like, we just got to get her out. And they went in and, you know, pulled her. And so she was stuck. Her shoulder was stuck up under her mama's pelvis bone. And I think they grabbed it or whatever and was, pulling her, trying to reposition her so she could, come on out. And after they did that, she did come, she came out after they got her shoulder out from under her mama pelvis. And the doctor, told us that her shoulder could be broken, but we'll have the orthopedist look at it the next day. So they were saying that they kept her swaddled the whole time, and they only wanted the nurse to change her diaper and unswaddle her. So they kept her swaddled tight until the orthopedist came to look at her shoulder. It wasn't broken, thank God. But the doctor said if it was broken, it would have healed because, they're so malleable the bones are still soft while they're young, it would have healed. And that's a normal break for a baby. They do have those collarbone breaks, and they heal pretty quickly. So um I can't imagine hurting a child. Yeah, sue that hospital. Every parent whose child was hurt, sue the hell out that hospital, because it ain't no way she should have been able to do that more than one time. Oh, really? But see, well, oh yeah, yeah, like where no parents were in the room. Like, I mean, I know sometimes the parents have to maybe go home, you know, or just get some air or something, and you leave the baby by herself, by themselves in the NICU. We tried the whole time. My granddaughter was in the NICU. We tried to have somebody up there with her. If her mama uh wasn't there, because her mama was released from the hospital before she was. So her mama had went home, and Amani had to stay in the hospital for a couple more days. But we tried to make sure somebody was in the NICU with her at all times, because you don't know what these people, would do to your baby. We want to make sure somebody was there. Is these ants coming back? I keep feeling something. I feel like it's touching me. We've still been having ants. Like, god damn, y'all can't find nothing else to do. I thought once it got cold, the ants would go away, but these suckers, they ain't going away. They ain't going nowhere. Hey, what are you doing? Stop doing that. Thank you. This dog in these hot spots, you be thinking that in the wintertime, usually his hair grow back from them little hot spots that he have in the summertime, but his hair ain't growing back. He still got these little spots of where he just lick so much and scratch so much that the hair fell off. And usually in the wintertime his hair will come back, but child, that hair ain't came back. I think Gizmo done got so old that his hair ain't gonna grow back. So he just a spotty he just a spotty little puppy. Like he got little spots where all his little hair done fell out. Gizmo old, poor baby. He a little senior. He just he just old. Just a little old man with little bald spots and everything. But we love him. Yeah, we do too. We love that baby. We love that bald headed baby. Well, you ain't bald headed. You got bald booty. We love that bald baby. Yeah, we do. Yeah, they couldn't use a vacuum on her because they knew that her shoulder was not in a place where it was supposed to be. her shoulder was kind of up under um, her mom's pelvis on the way down. So her head had made it down, but her shoulder was still, her shoulder was connected to her mama. And it wasn't moving down and, allowing that pass through. The shoulder kinked and wouldn't allow her to come down like she was supposed to, and she went into distress. I guess she was like, "Look, I can't get up out of here. Something's going on." And the doctor realized it, and she went up in there and turned her and snatched her shoulder, and I think kind of, and Amani came out because she was like, she's too close for um she's too close for a cesarean. We got to just get this baby out of here. And she did. She snatched her up out of there. So, but she was fine. After that, she didn't have. I need to do something with these nails. These nails look a mess. I haven't polished my nails in a long time. I guess I'm gonna have to cook me some fish because this game is probably gonna be over at like 4 o'clock or something. And then the other game, come on, I think my husband said at 5:30. They got to watch that one too. It's two games. So I know he ain't gonna want to leave the house. I want to go to thrift store shopping. We ain't going nowhere. I'm gonna probably get up in my bed. Oh, y'all know the dollar store got yarn? Sure do. I went back to the dollar store yesterday and got me some, but they only carry one brand. Let me show it to y'all. You just yawning? Go and take you a nap. Go and take you a nap, child. We ain't going nowhere. Oh Lord, my polyfield and feel. They only carry one brand, and it's this, just yarn. So I got this color in white, and this is acrylic. Yeah, 100% acrylic. That's the only color so I got. Because I don't like their chenille. Is that all I got? Oh, yeah. This from Michael. I need to take this back to Michael's. So I got two. I don't know what I'm going to make. I got those two. And I got this color from Hobby Lobby. This is the color Instant Classic. And I got four of these, I think. Yeah. I want to make a cardigan. I'm hoping four is enough. Oh my God. If it's not, I'm going to be mad. Because we're going to have to go back to Hobby Lobby and get some more yarn. So I want to get started on, but I'm trying to figure out, do I want to make a straight cardigan or another hexagon cardigan? I don't know. I don't know what I want to do yet. So I want to figure that out today. I want to make another jellyfish because the three that I made, are going to their forever home. Well, one of them is already gone because it was for my granddaughter. So she got hers, and then I had made two other ones, and one of them is going to my grandson's mother, and one is going to my grandson's grandmother. So they're gonna be gone. Did I show them to you? Ain't he cute? So this this little guy was took a whole skein of yarn. It was only like a little bit left when I finished him, and it wasn't. No, it was a decent size skein of yarn. He took a whole skein of yarn between his head and his little tentacles. These tentacles take up a lot of yarn. They don't look like they do, but they do. And I like that I added a different color because real life jellyfish have varied tentacles. All of their tentacles are not the same. So some of them may be skinny, some of them may be wide, and some of them are actually longer than others. They're not all uniform. So I think this one turned out cute. The other two were like solid colors. This was the only multicolored one that I did, and she wanted this one. So um, I'm gonna put him after I wrap him up real good. I'm gonna put him in the mail, and I want to make another one. It came out. I think it came out really cute. Yeah, the blue did make it pop. The colors pop. So I want to make a few more colorful ones, but I don't have any more bright yarn, like bright colorful yarn like that. So I might make another one. You can call him Pebbles. Is Pebbles a boy or a girl name? I think that's a boy. I don't know, child. The other one I made was pink. It was pink and it had pink and white tentacles, I think. I think it had pink and white tentacles. And the other one is yellow. And it has yellow, white, and this kind of goldish colored tentacles. Unisex. Okay. It can be unisex. It can be. They out there having a good time. I know my husband out there eating something because he can't watch the game without some kind of snacks or something. I'm gonna go out there and be like, "What you out here eating?" It do look like fruity pebbles. It does. And when I went back, they didn't have that color because I wanted to get that color again. I don't know if they were sold out or what. I wanted to get that color and make another one because I do like the way that one came out and make another one for myself because I don't even have one. And it's a cute pattern. And the pattern wasn't. It wasn't a hard um, pattern. It was pretty simple. So I'll probably make another one. All right, y'all, I'm finna go because I don't want my battery to die, and I don't have my phone on the charger. But I'll probably be back tomorrow. I don't know what we're gonna talk about, but I'll be back. Oh, this wind. The wind done kicked up, y'all. I don't know if we getting some of that wind from Los Angeles or what, but the wind done kicked up. It's windy out there. So I don't know. We probably gonna go someplace and get something to eat later after this game is over. Shit, I might take me a nap. Oh, okay. I'm gonna go look at it now. You wanna go outside? He only wanna go outside so he can go out there. You just wanna go out there and see what daddy doing. I told you you can't go out there. Let me take him outside so he can pee and see his daddy and stop tripping because he get on my nerves. So I will see you guys probably tomorrow. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. I love you. Bye.